Hello, folks. David here. This is Mr. Dante. He's a 22-ish walker, and he is overly. He's a little bit afraid of people. He's very, very sensitive. Less is more horse, or you could say a horse that really tries. But I think he's been poorly handled in his past, to the point that he's got a lot of what I call performance anxiety. He's reactive instead of responsive. And so my job is to make him safe to be ridden again, help him become calm and relaxed and thoughtful and responsive instead of reactive. It takes a lot of patience, and it does take time and repetition, because he's got to believe that it's a new day. And that he's supposed to think through things. When I give him a stimulus, you should ask yourself, what does Dave want, instead of receiving a stimulus and jumping in some fashion and becoming tense. I don't want to tense. He's very, very, very tense all the time. And we've checked him out for Lyme disease and other stuff. He's pretty much good to go. So he doesn't have a lot of discomfort. His teeth have been done. They were a bit of a mess, and he's actually missing a front incisor for some reason. And he's old enough, he's lost one of his molars. But other than that, he's pretty good to go physically. Always something you want to check first is make sure that the horse doesn't have a physical reason for its behavior, because frequently that's the case, nearly always. But it just depends on how they've been handled. So you can see I've worked with him enough so that he thinks it's important to be with me. He checks with me. I'm trying to enhance his confidence in me. And the primary way I do this is with a combination of active and passive leadership. Active leadership, you could say, is pushing the horse around. It's really about using negative reinforcement to apply pressure as a stimulus, to ask the horse to try. And when they try, you release the stimulus, and that's their reward. And the negative only means taking something away, and that's the stimulus when the desired behavior occurs. So, and then I combine that with passive leadership. Passive leadership is the opposite of active leadership. If I were to describe active leadership as pushing the horse around, which is a horrible way to put it, but I'm just going to be brutal. And passive leadership would be trying to make the horse be your friend. Spoil them, give them treats, all that kind of stuff, but not on the treats. I will use treats when I'm deliberately doing positive reinforcement. But passive leadership, I use everything at my disposal to offer peace to the horse in between stimuli, not just as a reward for a correct response. But the idea is, when does the horse learn? The horse learns when we quit and give them time to soak when nothing's going on, to think about the chain of events that just occurred. If you never quit with a horse, they're not going to learn, because the learning takes place after the doing. Not during the doing, but after the doing. So you're going to see me quitting. You're going to see me doing things like standing down like this, and I'm going to ask him to experience the peace with me. This is really hard for him. He carries a lot of tension, and his head pops back up. That is the tension speaking. He doesn't feel like he can truly let go and relax. Come on down. So I've been working pretty hard on trying to get his head down through commands, I want him to find the enjoyment of being with a human, something he was completely unfamiliar with till his current owners got him. They've been working really hard on giving him a new life and helping him enjoy the comfort that can come with being well treated by nice humans. He's pushing hard up really bad because he doesn't believe me. And he might even feel trapped by that. So it's interesting. I can say I want to use passive leadership with this guy and then do what I'm doing here. But one of the reasons is because he doesn't understand peace very well yet. He doesn't accept peace, and there's a lick and chew. He really doesn't understand passive leadership because no one has explained it to him, and I've been working pretty hard to give him some. You know, if you're a prey animal, when in your world can you have peace? There is no time. If you're alive and you're wanting to stay alive, you need to be on alert all the time. There's a certain element of you, and there is no concept of peace unless you're with humans, and you can assume that there is zero threat to your being alive because of the presence of humans. There is no concept of peace within your existence. So we have to teach the availability of peace and teach them what it feels like to let go of all the stress and anxiety of being alive and staying alive. But we can't withhold active leadership in doing so. It's just we need to balance the two. Sometimes we need to give a lot of active, sometimes we need to give a lot more passive. It just depends on the individual and what their own needs are. You can't draw any generalizations except that you need to use both, sometimes simultaneously, sometimes alternately, sometimes sequentially. It just depends on the individual and what's going on in that moment. Good. You couldn't see it, but there was a tiny relaxation of his muscles. I'm putting very gentle pressure on the top of his head, and then I'm locking my arm, so if his head drops underneath it, he'll get an immediate release. I'm having to actually use my left hand on the bridge of his nose to keep his head near me. Otherwise, he's going to turn his head away and walk or run away from me. Because this is a proximity to his head he does not like, even though he's not classically head shy. Good. And you can see what happens if I take my hand off the top of his head and where his head goes. Now I'm going to go ahead and let go of the bridge of his nose, and you can see what happens to his head. Now, also in his defense, I got 4 horses on the other side of the arena fence over here in the pasture, not more than maybe 60 feet away. And that's where he's looking right now. So he's looking to them for help. So basically, he mostly does not look to people for help, but looks to other horses for help. Although I've been working on changing that. And the fact that he is willing to walk with me like this and give me moments of his time, but he's always on alert for me to send him away, except he doesn't look at it as sending and following directions, more of fleeing from someone that's going to induce pain. It's what it feels like. I mean, I'm trying to go in his head, and that's our job. He is stuck in his own head. He's thinking about himself. He's in survival mode. Okay? If you want a useful partner, you got to get your partner out of their head and into your head and asking themselves, about the other individual in the relationship and what they're thinking about, what they want. To do that, to stimulate that, what you do is get out of your head and stop thinking about yourself. Forget about yourself, except your safety. Always keep that in the back of your mind, obviously. But your job is to get in here and say, what's going on in your life? All the things I've talked about him already. The reason I'm able to say those things is I'm trying to go in here to feel what he feels, to think how he's thinking, to be him, in order to figure out what does he need specifically. Is there anything I can give him that he needs to justify this relationship? I need to reach out deep into here and give him the thing he needs to be the best he can be. And, that's all we can do. That's so off camera. 2 days ago, when I first started working with him in this way, I started teaching him the pick-me-up cue, because what I found, and the pick-me-up cue means bring me your stirrup, because I found, and this is a walker, and it's very common, and he's probably been ridden a lot of his life, probably since he was 3, and he's about 22-ish. He probably had never been mounted from a mounting block, because when I first came up and stood on this mounting block, he took off, and he said, there's no freaking way. And you see a person when they're sitting up there at this height, but not next to you like this, standing here before they mount. When you mount from the ground, it's a completely different experience for the horse. And you can see even now how he feels about me standing here with his ears, and he wanted to take his nose away, so I had to bring my fingers over here and guard the bridge of his nose. And look at his ears right now, how he feels about me standing here. So I couldn't safely mount this horse from a mounting block. But his owner is going to want to mount from a mounting block. And it's always, frankly, the way most people mount a horse, it's healthier to mount from a mounting block anyhow. So, good boy. Guess I need to I haven't sent him around walk, trot, canter yet. I guess I need to do that. He got a little bit flighty when I first put a saddle on him, and did a little bit of hopping around. So before I go thinking about getting on this guy, I need to make sure he can walk, trot, canter with a tack on without getting silly. So I'm going to send him off. There you go. There you go. There you go. I know. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm creating a little confusion on his part, deliberately, because I'm making him think. I'm provoking thought. This horse was reactive and still is very reactive. Everything I'm doing is try to shut down the reactiveness and promote thought. So stimulate, wait, response, let him think about it, give him time to think. There you go. And we got a big ass horsefly. I mean, a really big fly. That's what I meant to say. Well, I'm surprised. I fly sprayed him and it seemed to have worked, which is unusual. There you go. 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 Good job. Now, what should I do right now? How hard was that for him? That was hard. I should quit. And let him come back in. A simple act of being sent off with brain intact. Now, could I have sent him off? I could have by using his reactiveness. Instead, I gave him a request. He gave me a try. I would release every time my hands came down. I gave him a release, and then I'd bring him back up and ask for another step, drop him, ask for another step, and you can see the tension that that little bit of stuff is causing him. All that yawning is massive anxiety releases. He needs to stand here for an hour and yawn and get rid of all that poisonous anxiety and tension that's in his body. And my horses are moving. You might even be able to see Stryker in the background walking by, and that's causing him to move. Now, who do I want him thinking about? Them or me? So I need to engage him when his mind wanders to horses. I need to bring it back to me. There's nothing more important in his life than me. This is your opportunity to be selfish with a horse. I want him in my head asking, what do I want? Not in Stryker's head or in his own head. Good. Good. So I need to give him some darn good reasons to want to be with me, to want to do what I ask, not just the training involved from the cessation of a stimulus involved in negative reinforcement. I want to change his desires where he wants to please me. And we do that with passive leadership. And you can see with me here, he licked and chewed just now, and he acknowledged me. But it's mostly over. So I can go back on and get some stuff done. There you go. There. Good. No, you gotta stay out there. If you want to keep the brain engaged and keep them thinking and not feeling, you want to work at the walk as much as possible. I am going to speed him up to a gait / trot and a canter in order to see that he retains his thinking while he speeds up, because as a horse accelerates, their emotions go up with their speed. It's a natural condition. And it's our job to teach them, just because your legs are moving faster and you're going faster doesn't mean that you get exuberant, that you get defensive, that you get that your emotions go sky high. And you can see he keeps checking with me with his head. He's turning in and he's talking to me. He's asking, do we have to do this? And the answer is yes, we have to do this. This is for my safety. That's some of the reactiveness that I talked about. see a full canter. So yes, I am chasing him around. That's not actually a canter. I'm going to take that. And because he was all emotional with that, I want him to understand I don't need that. It's just he's not responsive enough yet without it. His brain is not thinking enough about me. So I have to add a lot of energy. And I'll use the word, it's active leadership. I'll use the word chase him around in a circle to get him to speed up. I mean, if I picked up my lariat right here, I wouldn't have to do that. But today, for some reason, I don't even know why, I've decided to work without the lariat and use hand signals, which he's not real sensitive to yet. Come on down. Let go of that junk. What I think I'm going to start doing is to increase his speed of learning and his responsiveness, like with his head down cues. What I'm asking him to do is let go of garbage that might be 20 years old. You know, a lot of these walkers are started very young when they're still immature physically and emotionally and mentally, and at 2, they don't understand what's going on, and they're never given an opportunity to understand what's going on. Nobody cares whether they understand or not. So this is not something that's going to happen overnight for him to find a new day. So I would like for him to just, if I could just leave him alone, for him to be able to drop his head and relax. But he can't. He needs help from me. So I like to work without anything on the horse's face, because a horse at liberty doesn't lie to you. As soon as you put a bridle or halter on a horse, they know they're physically restrained and they act accordingly. But I want to put this rope halter on to make it easier for me to teach him to drop his head and let go of poisonous energy. I want to take advantage of this autonomic response horses have that there's a lot of theories about and nothing proven yet. What happens, the chicken and the egg, and I have a personal opinion which is irrelevant. But so I'm going to use this rope halter to help him come down, and eventually I want him to voluntarily hold his nose down on the ground. And if he will kick in this autonomic response of letting anxiety, tension go with licking and chewing and yawning and whatnot, head shaking, sighing. I'm going to take that for now, and you're going to watch it slowly creep up, but there's a lick and chew. Don't care. The single most important thing I can do for this horse is not get on it and ride it. It's teach him what I'm going to call emotional auto-regulation, a fancy term for self-control, to be able to choose your feelings, to reject unhelpful feelings, negative emotions. We carry a lot of those around with us, and most humans are no longer taught through the socialization process on controlling their emotions. They feel freedom gives them the chance to feel however they say, however I want to feel, it's my right. But you're not choosing your feelings, how you want to feel. You're not saying I want to feel this way and then choosing the way you feel. You're letting everything around you drive your feelings. You should let this inside of you drive your feelings. Just a commentary. Good, 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 Good. Good. So I saw him go to the right at a very high speed gait. It was not a canter. I've seen him canter. He canters just fine. It's a gated shuffling canter. He's carrying a whole lot of tension in his head and neck. Wouldn't surprise me if his TMJs are locked. Guess